The rain fell in sheets that night, the kind that beat down relentlessly as if the sky were trying to wash away the world below. The neon sign of the Cosmic Rose Diner flickered in the wet darkness, casting a rhythmic pink glow across the cracked asphalt of the parking lot. A lonely island of light in miles of blackened highway. The hour was 2:47 a.m., and the night felt suspended, too late to be called night, too early to call morning. It was the time when strange things happened, if you were paying attention. Inside, the diner was a time capsule. Chrome detailing, red vinyl booths, and faded photos of celebrities who'd probably never eaten here. A jukebox in the corner hummed out a soft rock ballad, its tone warm and worn like an old blanket. I'd been behind the counter for 5 hours, passing time cleaning mugs and restocking ketchup bottles, listening to the rain tap its fingers against the windows. The fluorescent buzz and old guitar riffs were the only companions I'd had all night until the door opened. The bell chimed a thin, stuttering ding, and I looked up. She stood there, framed by the diner's doorway like some surreal painting against the storm. For a moment, it was as if someone had hit a mute button on the world. The rain behind her was silent. The lights cast a pale halo around her tall, slender frame. Her coat was soaked, black fabric clinging like a shroud. Beneath it, sharp and graceful lines hinted at unfamiliar tailoring. As she stepped in, the door closed behind her, cutting the wind and returning the diner to its hum. I'd seen truckers, drifters, college kids, and night shift nurses wander through this place at odd hours. But she was none of those. She moved differently. There was a fluid precision to her steps, and she seemed to study the room as if she were seeing it for the first time. Or the last. "Hi there," I said, voice a little too sharp in the quiet. I was Andy Whitaker, 34, aspiring songwriter, night shift worker, professional loner. "Take a seat anywhere." She did not reply. Instead, she drifted toward a booth by the window. Her hair was slick from the rain, dark but shimmering like obsidian oil. And her eyes, those eyes, were impossibly dark, yet alive, as though lit from within by pinpricks of starlight. I exhaled slowly. Grabbed the notepad. Walked toward her. "Coffee? Or something to eat?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She lifted her gaze but didn't blink. It was like she was processing my words, not the way someone who doesn't speak a language does, but the way someone considers the meaning behind them. "I require sustenance," she said at last. Her voice was crystalline, soft but resonant, like a note struck on a glass rim. "What do humans ingest at this hour?" I froze, the absurdity sparking a nervous laugh. Eggs, pancakes, burgers. Pie. Coffee's kind of essential." She paused, then nodded once. "Coffee. And pie. This pie, is it nourishing?" "In its own way," I said with a smile. "It might grow on you." Her head tilted. "It grows?" "Just an expression," I said, chuckling slightly. I walked back to the counter, the tray in my hand steadier than I felt. When I returned with the coffee and a slice of apple pie, she hadn't moved. I placed them gently before her. Steam rose from the mug, swirling in lazy spirals. "How long have you been in Westfall?" I asked, keeping the tone light. It was a question I'd asked 1,000 late-night strangers before. Most gave me one-word answers and a tired smile. She watched the steam a full second longer before responding. "I have been on this land for 15 hours, 32 minutes. "The land," I repeated. "You mean, in town?" "Westfall," she said, precise. "Yes." Her voice had that same quiet echo to it. Not loud. But impossible to ignore. "You're not from around here, I take it?" "No," she said simply. She raised the fork, guided a small bite of pie to her lips, and closed her eyes. "Something changed then. I swear it. Something fundamental." Her breath caught almost imperceptibly, and her expression, previously blank, softened. Her eyes fluttered open, wider now, and her voice shivered with something like awe. "This is sweet." My eyebrow raised involuntarily. "Yeah. That's the idea." She stared down at the plate, then at me, as if waiting for permission to feel this new sensation. It is unfamiliar, she said. It is pleasing. My smile crept wider. Well, I'm glad you like it. She studied her fork, turning it slowly between her fingers. It surprises me, she said softly. This response. Good food can do that, I replied. Then she said something I didn't expect. Would you accompany me somewhere tomorrow? I paused, blinking. Sure? Where to? She studied me with those cosmic eyes. There is a place I wish to find. But alone, I may be hindered. Your presence would ease certain difficulties. Okay, I said slowly. But at least tell me your name first. She blinked at that. As if name was a foreign concept. I am not called by your conventions. But you may call me Leora. Leora, I repeated. The name tasted ancient, grounding. Like something spoken under starless skies. She finished her coffee with the same intent focus as before. Then stood. That is enough, she said. I will return tomorrow. Your check, for the pie. She paused, then reached into her coat. She pulled out a coin, small, circular, and iridescent. The surface rippled like liquid opal beneath the diner lights. This is worth something, yes? Before I could respond, she set it down and walked toward the door. No stumble. No hesitation. Just a silent, precise exit into the rain. I picked up the coin. It was light, faintly warm to the touch. The metal shimmered in shifting blues and purples. Not human coinage. Not anything I'd seen. She was gone by the time I turned back. Hours later, after my shift ended, I sat in my truck with the windows cracked just enough to let the smell of wet earth drift in. The storm had passed, replaced by a slow, creeping dawn. The coin lay on the passenger seat, catching the early light, reflecting back some strange possibility. A shape emerged at the edge of the trees across the road. Tall. Still. Watching. I shivered. For a moment, I thought I saw her, a shadow against the dying storm. But when I blinked, she was gone. I looked down at the coin again. My thoughts burned with curiosity. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something stir in my chest. Hope. Leora had promised to return. The next night, the diner would not be silent. And neither would I. The diner clock blinked 2:46 a.m., just as I flipped the open sign and leaned against the counter. The rain had stopped hours ago, but the scent of wet pine still clung to the air. The Cosmic Rose Diner hummed softly with old wiring and half-lit neon. Even the coffee pot seemed to pulse with anticipation. I couldn't stop glancing at the door. Then, at 2:47 a.m. sharp, she appeared. Leora entered as she had the night before, without a sound, without hesitation. But something was different now, palpable. Her coat, though the same color, clung to her with less weight. Her dark, alien eyes scanned the room with greater urgency before locking onto mine. Andy Whitaker, she said, voice low. I require your assistance now. Her tone was sharper than before, not cold, but insistent. I stepped around the counter, aware of my heart picking up speed. Okay, I replied. What's going on? Before she answered, her gaze drifted toward the window. The night outside was still, almost too still, no wind, no rustling leaves, not a hint of wildlife. The trees were silhouettes against a deep, shifting indigo sky. There is something that followed me, she finally said. From where I arrived. A chill snaked up my spine at her phrasing. Followed you from, I hesitated. Where, exactly? She didn't blink. Beyond your world. Beyond your known space. You mean from another planet? Yes, she said simply. Her eyes didn't hold a trace of doubt. And mine didn't challenge her. Not after last night. So something from out there followed you here? Yes, she said. It haunts me. Because I left. Left. I swallowed hard. You defected, you said. She nodded. From the Dominion. What is the Dominion? Her expression turned inward then, like she was reaching through her mind for a memory she didn't want to revisit. They are control. Logic. Order without tenderness. They harvest worlds, they conquer minds. She paused. They do not know feeling. Empathy. They do not know sweetness. That last word hummed softly in the dim air. I understood, then, that the taste of apple pie had been more than a new sensation for her, it had been a revelation. Why me? I asked suddenly. My voice cracked. Why ask me to help? What do I have that? You gave kindness freely, she said. You spoke without expectation. You offered sweetness. You treat your world like it matters. A breath lodged in my throat. No one had ever said anything like that to me. Not in years. She stood then, her movement fluid and urgent. Come with me, she said. Not later. Now. Where? To the place where I crossed. She walked toward the door, and I followed, driven by something I couldn't name. Curiosity. Concern. Something deeper, older. Outside, the air felt heavy with anticipation. The horizon glowed faintly with the earliest suggestion of dawn, but the sky above was thick with stars, too bright for this part of the country. It felt like the universe was hanging just a little closer tonight. We crossed the empty parking lot and stepped onto the narrow dirt path that ran along the side of the diner. Past a rusting chain-link fence and into the forest beyond. The pines towered around us, their branches swallowing sound. Leora walked ahead, her pace steady and deliberate. The crossing point is ahead, she said softly. The barrier between here and elsewhere. The forest opened into a small clearing, a circle of grass and earth bathed in moonlight. The air was different here, charged. It hummed against my skin. This is where I arrived, she said. Her voice echoed just slightly, unnatural. The veil between dimensions is thin here. And then I heard it. A distant ripple in the air, like metal being stretched and torn at the same time. What was that? I whispered. She didn't answer. She was looking toward the tree-line, posture stiffening. The sound came again, closer now. A low, resonant line of sound that didn't belong in the forest. I took a step back. Out of the shadows, something began to form. At first, it was just movement, a shifting, flickering distortion in the air, like heat rising from asphalt. Then it coalesced into shape, tall, sinewy, made of dark, liquid metal. The surface of it rippled like black mercury, and its face was a smooth void, featureless except for faint outlines where eyes should have been. I felt my pulse pounding in my neck. Leora stepped forward. You should not have come, she said. The creature drifted toward her, still not touching the ground. Its voice wasn't spoken, it seemed to vibrate in the air, metallic and wrong. You abandoned your orders. Leora's posture remained calm, but her energy rippled with something like grief. I discovered what you fear, she said. Something beyond your grasp. The thing paused, then its voice came again, scraping, ancient. You have tasted their poison. No, Leora said softly. Her voice changed, low, fierce, trembling with a depth I hadn't heard before. I tasted what makes them alive. Then the creature lunged. Instinct should have driven me to run. Instead, I stepped forward. Hey! I yelled. Useless, maybe. But something in me wouldn't let me stand and watch her face that alone. The thing turned, a splitting hiss ripping from its edges as though it had taken notice of me for the first time. A tendril of molten dark stretched toward me. But before it could reach, Leora raised her hand, palm open. A burst of light flared from her palm, brilliant, wild, golden. It hit the creature and sent it recoiling, its form rippling in agony. You cannot bind me anymore, she said, breath-catching. You cannot bind anything. The creature quivered, then lurched again, faster this time. I grabbed the nearest thing I could, a fallen branch. It was stupid, futile. But I swung it anyway. The branch cracked against the creature's side and shattered. A fragment grazed my wrist. But it hesitated. Just for a second. Sometimes that's all it takes. Leora swept her hands outward, and the light came again, bigger this time, more radiant. Her entire body was alight, glowing like a star made flesh. The creature twisted, contorted, and then began to disintegrate. Its form dissolved into ash-like fragments, fading into the night air. The clearing was suddenly quiet. Leora's glow dimmed. She fell to her knees. I rushed to her side, hands hovering. "Are you okay?" Trembling, she lifted her gaze to me. Without the glow, she looked almost human. Tired. Hopeful. "I am free now," she whispered. Unburdened. We sat in the clearing as dawn bled into the sky, lavenders, pinks, and soft blues lightening the night. I didn't know how long we stayed that way. Minutes? A lifetime? What happens now? I finally asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, her eyes softened, glowing faintly in the new light. "I do not know," she said. "This world is strange. It is dangerous. But," she paused. "But?" She looked at me then, fully. No walls. No careful observations. "It is sweet." Something inside my chest tightened. That same something that had stirred the night before. "Thanks, love," I said softly, almost without thinking. It was casual, automatic, the kind of harmless affection people toss around in conversation. But she froze. Her breath, it caught. Her eyes widened, going still and vast like the night sky. "Love," she repeated. The word trembled on her tongue, heavy and new. What is that?" I swallowed, surprised by the question and the emotion behind it. I hesitated. "It's what you call someone you care about. Someone you want to protect." She absorbed the words with reverent stillness. Then she leaned just a little closer, not touching, but daring to. "Then I will learn it," she whispered. "With you." The sun broke through the trees then, spilling gold into the clearing. The forest came alive with waking birds. And for the first time in a long time, I felt part of something bigger than myself. Not everything needs explanation. Some things just need to be lived. Together.